The top stories tonight in Y News. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. believes that the South Commuter Railway Project of the North-South Commuter Railway System would benefit 800,000 commuters daily. Victims believe that the International Criminal Court Appeals Chamber will allow the continuation of the probe into Duterte administration's illegal drugs campaign. The Dangerous Drugs Board clarifies that the research for medical use of marijuana or cannabis is allowed in the Philippines. And a previous Twitter senior employee who observed the benefits program for Twitter employees files a lawsuit as Twitter fails to pay him $500 million to thousands of laid-off workers. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Thursday, the 13th of July, 2023. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am William Theo. First in the news, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. witnessed the ceremonial signing of 3 more contract packages worth 50 billion pesos for the construction of several sections under the North-South Commuter Railway. The president believes that it will benefit thousands of commuters with the completion of the said project. Nel Mariboc reports.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said that the South Commuter Railway Project or SCRP of the North-South Commuter Railway System or NSCR would benefit 800,000 commuters. In his speech during the contract signing of the SCRP of the NSCR system for the 3 contract packages in Malacanang Palace, President Marcos said the railway project is the realization of a more efficient and inclusive public transportation system.
With the signing of these 3 contract packages that cover a total of around 14.9 kilometers of at-grade and railway viaduct structures, we will be a step closer to our goal of serving around 800,000 commuters daily by 2029.
President Marcos is seeing around 3,000 job opportunities at the start of SCRP.
I am also happy to note that we are anticipating the generation of approximately 3,000 jobs once civil works for these sections begin.
He added that the government was conscious of the plight of informal settlers who could be affected by the project, as well as the potential inconveniences that construction works might cause. The chief executive also urged government agencies and offices to solve problems related to the right-of-way issues, which include the need for land acquisition and the relocation of utility posts in the area. Nel Maribujo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Dangerous Drugs Board, or DDB, clarifies that the research for medical use of marijuana or cannabis is allowed in the Philippines. In the 3rd Senate hearing of the proposed Medical Cannabis Compassionate Access Act, the DDB cites Section 16 of the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act allows the cultivation of cannabis of medical laboratories and research centers. Meanwhile, Senator J.V. Ejercito wants to ensure that safety nets and strict regulations will be in place to avoid abuse and potential diversion of cannabis to recreational use. Meanwhile, the war on drugs victims believe that the International Criminal Court Appeals Chamber will allow the continuation of the investigation into the illegal drugs campaign of the previous Duterte administration. Dante Amento tells us why.
The International Criminal Court or ICC Appeals Chamber is set to release its decision on Tuesday, July 18 on the Philippines appeal not to continue the investigation over the war on drugs of the Duterte administration. Attorney Cristina Conti, lawyer for the war on drugs victims, said they are optimistic the court would give the green light to the investigation.
para maging fair, patas at makatarungan para sa lahat, tingin ko ay talagang kailangang ipursige ang isang investigasyon dito sa Pilipinas dun sa war on drugs.
Conte added, the government could not prove that there are genuine domestic investigations in the extrajudicial killings due to the illegal drugs war. Hence, the probe must continue.
Kahit paikot-ikutin nila yung mga ebidensya nila, yung mga sinasabi nilang mga examples, yung sinasabi nilang investigasyon dito sa Pilipinas, kahit paikot-ikutin nila yon, wala silang mapapakita sa atin na may investigasyon ng crimes against humanity dito sa Pilipinas.
The ICC may also issue a warrant of arrest in the course of the investigation against certain individuals if the evidence would warrant it.
Kung maalala nyo, nag-issue ng ganito laban kay Putin, presidente ng Russia. So yung warrant of arrest niya ay para sa investigasyon. Kaya nakakakaba kasi kakaiba ng level to. Para lang, pero yung warrant of arrest ay para makipag-cooperate sa investigation, not exactly to face charges.
Meanwhile, Solicitor General Minardo Guevara believes they have a chance of getting a favorable decision. And even if the ICC will dismiss the government's appeal, it will not allegedly change the fact that there are investigations in the country with or without the ICC. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
In other news, the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration, or PAGASA, recorded rainfall in the watershed of Angat Dam. In the past 24 hours, they observed a lesser decrease in water levels as compared to yesterday with more than half a meter.
Liit lang po yung naging pagbaba ng elevation niya na naitala po siya na 0.18 meters, which I think is nakatulong po yung pag-ulan na naitala po dito sa within the watershed ng Angat.
PAGASA said that the combined effect of low pressure area and the southwest monsoon make the most part of the country rainy. The Weather Bureau projects that it may continue until the weekend.
And for our news abroad, a lawsuit was filed against Twitter after the company refuses to pay thousands of workers who were laid off when Elon Musk took over. Paul Gajalian will give us the details live. Yes, good evening, Paul.
Good evening, Giona. A previous Twitter senior employee who observed the benefits program for Twitter employees, Courtney Macmillan, filed a lawsuit on Wednesday, July 12, as Twitter fails to pay $500 million to thousands of laid-off workers. Macmillan argued that Twitter organized a severance plan where workers, if laid off, were given a compensation equating to 2 months of base pay and 1 week of pay for every year of service. After Elon Musk became the owner of Twitter, over half of the workers were laid off, with most of those workers only receiving a severance pay worth 1 month and some not being given any at all. The company, alongside Elon Musk, is being accused of violating laws that regulate employee benefits, breaching not only the benefits law but also contract claims. Meanwhile, the company claims they paid the laid-off workers in full. However, Twitter still faces many accusations of failing to pay millions of bonuses and other cases. Back to you, Giona.
Thank you, Paul, for that live report. Public borrowing levels around the globe reached an all-time high of $92 trillion in 2022. Governments were forced to borrow in response to global crises such as COVID-19. Nida Sadanda will tell us why live. Yes, good evening, Nidesa.
Good evening, Giona. In the year 2022, the public debt around the world has topped $92 trillion as governments borrowed to tackle country crises such as the COVID-19 pandemic, climate change, and the Russian war against Ukraine. In the last 2 decades, the debt worldwide has increased more than 5 times. The weight of the surge in global debt is felt more particularly by developing countries who owe 30% 85% of the debt, while China, India, and Brazil share in the remaining 70%. Limited access to financing, rising borrowing costs, currency devaluations, sluggish growth, as well as inadequate and expensive international financial architecture contributed to the burden on the developing countries, according to a United Nations report, A World of Debt. Private creditors are accountable for a growing share of the debt who charge sky-high interest rates. The report also states that because of high interest rates, poor countries pay 4 or 8 times more than the United States and wealthier European countries. 59 developing countries have incurred a debt-to-GDP ratio of 60% or higher, which indicates a high debt according to international threshold. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has suggested the creation of a debt workout mechanism that supports payment suspensions and longer lending terms and lower rates, including for vulnerable middle-income countries. He, however, admits any major reform to the global financial system will not be easily accomplished. Back to you, Giona.
Thank you, Nadessa, for that live report. We'll share more global stories with you later, but for now, back to you, William.
Those watching our live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. 7% of Filipino households have an overseas Filipino worker who helped to provide a better life for family, according to social weather stations. Meanwhile, an economist said cost of living in other countries were expensive, but the salary is also higher. Bernadette Tinoy will tell us why.
The Social Weather Stations or SWS survey reports that 7% of Filipino households have an overseas Filipino worker or OFW who help to provide for family, and 13% of adult Filipinos aspire to live abroad, while 4% adult Filipinos looking to work abroad, particularly in countries like Japan and Canada. Economist Sir Peña Reyes said even the cost of living in Japan and Canada are higher, wages and salary were also higher for Filipino workers.
There are many opportunities there. You want to work, you'll find work. And you will be gainfully employed. Okay, you can live off your wages. Unlike here, where again, because of low productivity, okay, wages remain stagnant and depressed.
Meanwhile, online seller and wife to a OFW Crisilda said the cost of living in the Philippines is expensive while the minimum wage is still low.
Napakamahal ng bilihin. So, ang almusal, magkano pa lang, mayroon pang merienda, di ba? May mga snacks pa. Siyempre, 3 yung maliliit kong anak. In 30 minutes, hindi naman napapakali yung ano niyan eh. Kailangan kakain pa rin sila. Yung expenses din sa pag-aaral, parang parang nahahati. Tuition fee.
The poll was conducted from March 26 to March 29 with a sampling error margin of plus 2.8%. Bernadette Tinoy, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, has been surprised over the decision of Transport Group Manibela to conduct transport strike despite having dialogue with the agency. JP Nunez explains why.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, emphasized that their agency is open for dialogue to anyone who are having concern or issues with the Public Utility Vehicle Modernization Program, or PUVMP. They are also having continuous talks with the Transport Group Manibela, who are planning a 3-day transport strike that coincides with the second State of the Nation address of President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. The LTFRB even sent a picture of its national president Mar Valbuena and his companions, who recently had a meeting with LTFRB Chairman Attorney Chofilo Guadis III last June 21. LTFRB said they were surprised that the transport group decided to set a transport strike which will surely affect the commuting public.
Kaya nagtataka nga kami kasi lagi nga siyang nandito kay Chairman Guadis. We even have pictures eh.
LTFRB said they are preparing augmentation vehicles once transport strike will continue. They will coordinate with other governments interagency in order to provide alternative vehicles for affected passengers. Meanwhile, Mar Valbuena admitted that they have discussed their concerns on PUVMP to LTFRB. However, he insisted that their grievances has never been addressed since last March when they first had week-long transport strike.
Opo, sinasabi ko naman po sa kanila, 4 na beses na po ako nanggaling dyan sa LTFRB. Lahat po ng sinabi ko naman po na nakikipag-usap. Hindi ko naman po sinabing hindi kami nag-uusap. Kaya nga po, may usap lang, pero wala pong aksyon.
The group calls for the scrap of industry consolidation for public transportation and the awarding of franchise with validity of 5 years should be reverted to individual operators. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And for other global news, tech company NVIDIA strengthens its bets for drug discovery worth $50 million investment on artificial intelligence models for drugs. RK Liorca details why.
NVIDIA, a chip designer, and biotech company Recursion are in strong ties to speed up trainings on artificial intelligence or AI models for drug discovery with $50 million investment. The biopharma company, whose pioneer includes Yoshi Benjo, will use its chemical and biological datasets called Recursion OS with over 23,000 terabytes to train the said models on NVIDIA's cloud database. This program gives drug makers access to data sets required for designing and developing therapeutics. The investment comes after Recursion secured its over $80 million funding from 2 companies to the AI-driven drug discovery space last May. Currently, Recursion is conducting human trials for its 5 drugs, which is already on its mid-stage trials, and their partnership with NVIDIA might be the key to more significant drug-driven AI findings. RK Liorca, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Gianna Pravado, live from London, United Kingdom. Good evening.
The AFP Cavaliers team were honored in a modest gathering after securing the championship title of UNTV Cup Season 9. Rina Villamor Camara reports.
After claiming the championship title of UNTV Cup Season 9, the 14-man roster of the AFP Cavaliers, together with their coaches and managers, were given recognition in a small gathering. The title win was the 4th for the Cavaliers in the 5 final appearances, to which they donated 3 million pesos to their chosen beneficiary, the Educational Benefit System organization that helps in the schooling of the children of fallen Army men. The recognition took place at the General Headquarters Canopy in Camp Aguinaldo. One by one, the participants of the UNTV basketball team of AFP Cavaliers were each called out, followed by the ceremonial handover of the prize check to their chosen beneficiary, the AFP EBSO. Also part in the recognition ceremony were athlete medalists who joined in the last SEA Games in Cambodia in the month of May. The Cavaliers takes pride in being part of the public service advocacy of Kuya Daniel Razon.
Kami ay natutuwa at nanalo ulit yung AFP Cavaliers na mapupunta sa mga beneficiaries natin yung pong premyo para sa mga naiwang anak ng mga sundalo natin namatay sa line of duty. Kaya kami lubos na nagagalak sa UNTV na bigyan ng pamamaraan na makatulong ulit sa mga naulila.
So, napakalaking bagay yung experience, lalo na yung opportunity na binigay ulit sa amin ng ni Kuya Daniel na makatulong ulit sa beneficiaries namin. Well, I'm proud of my players, my boys din sa amin sa group namin because every time we step on the floor, kung ano yung game plan namin every time and during practice, ay nagagawa namin.
nakita ko yung kagandahan ng liga at saka talagang ramdam ko yung liga na ganito yung mga beneficiary na nakukuha na nakakatulong kami sa aming beneficiary lalo na sa Team AFP.
AFP Cavaliers was one of the pioneer teams that joined the unique concept of Kuya Daniel Razon, a charitable basketball league that is unlike no other tournaments in the country. UNTV has donated millions already to many beneficiaries of the government agencies that took part each year. Many also enjoyed the league as it features the other side of our country's public servants. Later this year, UNTV Cup will open its 10th season, coinciding with the 10 years anniversary of the league that opened in the year 2013. Rina Villamor Camera, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And before we close, we will leave you with the word giving glory to God from the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 9 verse 9. It says, "As it is written, he hath dispersed abroad, he hath given to the poor, his righteousness remaineth forever." And those are the reasons behind the news, July 13, 2023. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold, and because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.